Hey guys, how are you today? I hope you're all well. It's Economics with Bonang. Today we'll be doing our first past paper from the province of the Eastern Cape. So this paper is a common test, June 2014, which is paper 1. So today focusing on question 2 of this paper, which is our circular flow. Let's get right into it. So question 2 has 40 marks and it's for 20 minutes. So guys, let's start. Answer the following questions appropriately. 2.1.1. Name two flows found in the circular flow. So we know that in our circular flow we have two flows, which is real flow and money flow. 2.1.2. Explain how the problem of double counting can be avoided when calculating GDP. So to avoid double counting, we're going to subtract the value of input costs from the gross value added, or do not include the value of intermediary goods in the calculations. And then we have our diagram on 2.2. Study the diagram below and answer the questions that follow. So now we're going to study the diagram. The diagram we can see that this diagram is an open economy because there is foreign sector. So the diagram has household, government, factor market, goods market, business sector, and foreign sector. So now we have an idea that this is an open economy. And then we have our alphabets, which is A, S, and I. So we're going to start with S. As we can see that S is pointing the households. So what do we know about the households? Households are savers. They make savings. So the S stands for savings, which is a leakage. And then we have A. Our A is an arrow that comes from households and is going to the government. So this A represents taxes. How do we know? We know that the households are the ones paying taxes to the government. Letter I is pointing at businesses. What do we know about the firms? The firms are investors. The firms make investments. So this I stands for the investments. So investments are under what? Injections. So let's answer the questions that follow. 2.2.1. Identify the interaction that letter A stands for. Now we know, as I said, letter A stands for taxes, or we can say letter A stands for tax payments. 2.2.2. What is represented by the letter S in the diagram? So as I said before, letter S represents savings by household. 2.2.3. Give a formula for calculating GDE. So we know that GDE is all the expenditure by the participants. So GDE is consumption by households, investment spending by businesses, and government spending by the government. So it's C plus I plus G. That is our gross domestic expenditure. I hope you're still following. And then they say, what kind of the economy is represented by the diagram above? As I've explained above, this is an open economy. Why is it an open economy? As I just said, because it has the foreign sector. So we know that the foreign sector is included in the open economy, right? Then we are done with that one. 2.3. Study the table below and answer the questions that follow. Income received through production factors in 2012. We have compensation of employees, we have net operating surplus, we have consumption of fixed capital, we have gross value added at factor cost, we have taxes on production, we have subsidies on production, we have gross value added at basic price, and then we have taxes on products, subsidies on products. And then we have the letter B. What does the letter B stand for? As we can see, this is an income method. They're calculating GDP using an income method, right? So we know that B is automatically gross domestic product at market price. So, okay, let's answer the questions below. 2.3.1. They name the institution that is responsible for recording and publishing of GDP figures. So, guys, GDP figures are published and recorded by the SARB, which is South African Reserve Bank. 2.3.2. Identify the item represented by letter B in the table. As I've said before, this is gross domestic product at market prices. Then 2.3.3. Explain the concept subsidies on products. We're going to say subsidies on products, right? It's products. Then it is the direct subsidy paid by the government to the firms to produce exportable products in order to reduce their production costs. So we know that the government subsidizes firms in order to reduce their production costs and in order to improve their productivity and efficiency. Then we have 2.3.2. Calculate the gross value added at basic prices. So it's going to be 2,631,227 plus 50,009 minus 10,732, which is going to give us 2,670,504. So that's how we're going to calculate. Then here's an interesting part, the 8 marks questions. So 2.4 says, distinguish between a factor market and a product market. So we're going to start with our factor market. First things first, start by defining, guys. We always define. After defining, that's when you're going to start an outline and give the examples. So this is how we're going to start it. We're going to start with our factor market. Factor market, it is a market where factors of production are sold and bought. So businesses purchase factors of production from the households through the factor market. We know that, right? So we know that households sell their factors of production in the factor market to the firms. Then that's all we know about the factor market. We've listed 3 points under the factor market. And then we're going to do our product market. Product market, this is the market where goods and services are bought and sold, right? Then businesses produce and sell goods to households, government, and foreign sector. Then those goods and services are sold through the product market or goods market. 2.5. With the aid of a formula, explain the multiplier effect. We can define what is multiplier. So the multiplier describes a situation where a change in spending, e.g. investment, ultimately changes output and income by more than the initial change in investment income. To show this, we need to know the value of the MPC, which is the marginal propensity to consume, and the injections. The formula for the multiplier is K is equals to 1 over 1 minus MPC. Suppose MPC is equals to 0.75 and the injections is 10,000. Multiplier is equal to 1 over 1 minus 0.75, which is equals to 4. The change in aggregate income will be 4 times 10,000, which is equals to 40,000. The bigger the MPC, the bigger the multiplier, because people are buying more, so the multiplier increases. Then the smaller the MPC, the smaller the multiplier, because people are not consuming more, then the multiplier decreases. Right, guys? I hope you understood. Thank you for staying until the end. I hope to see you again in my next video, and please like and subscribe.